Is that a true, like, that's not just an ad. Like, is that really what happens? Do you really call that voicemail?
Yeah, I always would. A couple, I think it was about 2 years ago, we actually changed the voicemail. But before then, I would always call. And, mostly when times are kind of going tough, you are dealing with something, just wanted to hear a voice,
I know, dude. My dad died 2 years ago next week.
Sorry to hear that.
And he died of cancer. He's 74. So, he lived a full life. When are the moments to which you think about her most?
There's a lot of moments, but in particular, when I'm going through some adversity, I'm dealing with something, I remember, vividly, coming home and, seeing her, after chemotherapy, vomiting in the toilet, grabbing her hair, make sure she doesn't get anything in her hair. And she get up, she cleans herself up, and she says, you guys got practice tonight. Let's go. Let's get ready. There was never a time where she was like, woe is me, or I'm too sick to do this for you guys. It was always about just continuing to push through. And, so when I'm having a weak moment, those kind of things that I always remember is her toughness and, just her willingness to always, do for others. And, I just try to emulate her in those ways.
Larry Fitzgerald joining us on the Doug Gottlieb Show on CBS Sports Radio. But it's also real that you went back and you got your degree because, famously when you, in college, because you went to prep school, you only had to go for 2 years. So how much of your degree did you actually get from the University of Phoenix?
Well, Doug, I only went to school for my freshman year, and then I went to the first semester of my sophomore year. So I had, had about 87 credits I had remaining. So it took like about 8 years, just taking classes in the off season, but it's something I was dedicated to. I really wanted to get it done, not only just because I promised my mother I was going to get it done, but I was the only one in my family that does not have a degree. Everybody has one, and also for my sons. When I asked them to work hard in school and do some of the things that I asked them to do, it's not like I'm telling them. I did it. It was important enough for me to do it, even when I didn't need it. That's why I'm asking you guys to do it.
It's awesome. University of Phoenix is offering Focus to the Finnish Scholarship, 16 full tuition scholarships to the University of Phoenix students to complete an undergraduate or master's degree. And, of course, Larry Fitzgerald is our guest carer of University of Phoenix. It's Doug Gottlieb Show on CBS Sports Radio. I was wondering, to start the year, there was this story out there which has since been debunked. This was your last year. Like you're gonna walk away at the end of the year. I know your dad spoke about it. You spoke about it. I just want to how does that get out there? How is it possible that somebody says you're going to retire when it's fairly obvious based upon the debunking of that story that's just not true?
Well, Doug, I really don't know. I never told anybody that I was going to retire or that I was even considering it. I signed an extension early. I think it was the second week of training camp. I signed a 1-year extension. So, you would think that I would put things to bed, but you know how it is today in a social media world where all somebody has to do is throw something out there. It goes viral. It doesn't have to have any relevancy or be true by any standard of imagination, but people just run with it.
Yeah, they do. You mentioned tough times. This season started with people are, hey, Cardinals can go to the Super Bowl. Cardinals, one of the elite teams. You lose 3 out of your first 4. What was going so wrong?
We just weren't playing well. It's very simple, and that's something that we worked very hard to try to correct, and we're still trying to work hard to correct. We're sitting here at 4-4-1 now. Things are still in front of us. We're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination, but early on, we just didn't get off to a great start like we had in years past, and that's disappointing because we have a very talented team that's capable of great things.
I picked against you guys with the Carolina game, and the reason wasn't because I didn't think you could beat Carolina at Carolina. It was because that game against the Seahawks, which ended in a 6-6 tie, it felt like it was played at an unbelievable level in terms of the physicality. Two teams who know each other so well because you're in the same division, play each other twice. Like, it felt like that game would take too much out of you. Did that game take a lot out of you?
No, it wasn't anything about that game. We just didn't play well against Carolina, but it was a physical game, one of the more physical games I've ever played in my career. But every time you play them, that's the kind of game you have to play because they're physical. You have to match that intensity. But we're not making excuses. Those guys had to come back the next week and play, and they were able to find a way to win. We need to be able to do the same thing. All
right, so when you drive home, when you're in your car going home to see your family, and you tied a game, like, what is that feeling like? Like we're all watching. We're like, there was. What does it feel like to tie a game and then have to you can't feel too bad, but you can't feel too good? What was that like for you?
I felt like a loss. It felt like a loss, just because of the way it happened, and I would imagine they felt the same way flying home. You think you drive down, have opportunity to end the game, and you don't have an opportunity to punch it in late, and you don't, a block field goal, things like that. You felt like you let a golden opportunity at home slip away, and so going home, you didn't lose it,
Right.
but it dang sure felt like you lost it.
Do you hear what Russell Wilson said they should do? He said they should have a field goal kickoff to decide, like goal kicks in soccer. He's like, why don't we just have field goal kickoff to see who wins it? Is that a good idea?
No, I don't think so. I think you got to let the rest of the team, contribute. We should. The college overtime is not bad. Both teams get an opportunity from the same yard line, and I wouldn't mind that.
All right, Larry Fitzgerald joining us in the Doug Gottlieb Show, CBS Sports Radio. Now you're going to Minnesota this weekend, and of course everybody knows, like, you grew up. It's one thing to grow up in Minnesota, like you grew up with the Vikings. Like this is. But now, of course, they're playing this glorious new stadium. What are the emotions like for you personally when you go back? Granted, new stadium, different team, guys that you didn't grow up around, but you see that Viking, purple and gold on the other side.
I think that the mystique of it is definitely worn off after my 13th year. I think this is my fourth or fifth time going back there to play. It's just another game at this point to me. It's like nothing different. It's just like going on the road and getting ready to go. This is a really good football team. They lost a few in a row, but defensively they're still playing at a very, very high level, top 3 unit in the league. But we got to go out there and play well. And this crowd is going to be ruckus. They're going to be loud. They're going to be intense. And we got to go out there and play well.
These are two incredibly important games, both on the road for your team. What do you think? What do you think has to be done? I mean, obviously, don't turn the football over. But for you, having watched your team, what do you guys specifically have to do to win both these games at Minnesota and then at Atlanta? Like, that's a tough stretch, but 4-4-1. At some point, you got to start winning these games. What do you think you have to do?
Our biggest thing is going to be third down. We got to be efficient on third down. We got to be able to get manageable down distances in third down. 3rd, 5 and short, we need to be able to get in those down distances and be able to execute, because we have a really good plan going in. And on defense, we have to be able to stop and get those guys off the field on third down. And we're able to do that because early in the season, we weren't winning those battles enough, and that we lost games, by not getting off the field and not sustaining drives. So second half, really got to put an emphasis on that.